Hello and good evening, my fellow YouTube user fans and young and old alike. It is I, KaneFan701. Or for this occasion, you may call me Captain KaneFan. Because today marks a very special occasion. It is September the 1st, 2021. And today marks 36 years. That's right. Today marks 36 years to the day the greatest discovery was made. On this very day, on September 1st, 1985, the day the RMS Titanic was found. After 73 years, the discovery was made by explorer Dr. Robert Ballard. And on that day, in 1985, the legend of the Titanic was opened to the modern world of who we are today. A great discovery that no one thought could ever be done was done. And since then, the greatest discovery was told to us generations years later on. And the fascinating story of the Titanic disaster finally was revealed. And since then, books, films, dramas, and even fanfics and everything else was told at this very day. And I have to say, being a Titanic fan for so long, to this very day, it is very, very special. It holds a very deep and safe place in my heart, as it does to all of you as well. It is one of the greatest discoveries that mankind ever achieved. I mean, think about it. I mean, we didn't even land on the moon until 1969, and the Titanic wasn't even discovered until 1985. I mean, that was quite an achievement. But I have to say, for those who have survived the sinking of the RMS Titanic, I'm pretty sure the survivors of those that saw it all, it may have brought some peace and comfort to them to know that their loved ones or their friends or anyone that they were with who didn't survive finally put to rest. I have to say, I mean, when Dr. Robert Ballard came back after he found the Titanic, he wouldn't talk about it for like 3 to 4 months, or it could have been longer than that. I'm so sure of it, but yeah, he was greatly affected by it after what he did, when he found that famous wreck. The personal impact was pretty much incredible. I think it would be the same way for all of us. He wouldn't talk about it for so long. He just wanted to hit it. Because the overwhelming effect was so emotionally drawing on him. Because, he could feel and see the death of those 1,500 lives on the Titanic when it went down. Those stuck in the sea screaming as they froze to death. And you could see the lifeboats in the water when it went down. I mean, that's how affected it was. It felt like you were actually there, as you'd been taken back in time to 1912 and you saw it all happening all over again. That's how effective it was. I mean, I could feel the same thing reaction if I'd been taken to the place and wherever Titanic's located at. I mean, I've had my personal effects just by telling the story, but the story about how the wreck was found and how it affected us all to this day, it was just amazing, in a very dark, tragic style, I guess. I mean, you felt the death coming to you when you saw Titanic. Like when you go down there in those submersibles, when you go down there and it's over 2.5 miles down, it's dark, cold, eerie. It's like a sort of horrifying death thing that no one could ever experience. I mean, it really is a very overwhelming emotional feeling when you see that happen. And when it did come down, when you go down there and you see the bow coming out of the darkness, it really is an awe-inspiring sight. At first, it's overjoying to see, but then the emotions kick in afterwards because you eventually are face to face with probably the most famous shipwreck of all time. It's just very, very traumatizing experience when you see it. I can only imagine the first time Bob Ballard met Titanic in 1985, especially when he came back to see it again in 1986. It was definitely, it's quite overwhelming to tell you the truth. Because, the personal impact, like I said before, was overwhelming when he saw it. And from what we can tell, he told that the team were like in the agony of defeat because they had spent weeks trying to find the wreck of the ocean liner. And just when they were about to give up, they went right over the boiler and they found the debris trail, and it took them right to the wreck of Titanic. Because it was later found out that Titanic did in fact break into two and it had sunk to the ocean floor. And and the Woods Hole Graphic were so thrilled, but they were celebrating, champagne bottles blew out of nowhere, and everyone was just thrilled that they had made the great discovery. But then it became more of a painful realization because, somebody actually made this very innocent comment that hit home. And someone said, like, gee, the Titanic sinks in less than 20 minutes. And as Dr. Robert Ballard had said in one documentary in the year 2000, he said everybody was just so devastated because they were dancing on someone's grave. And Ballard was just deeply moved. And I think everybody else was too. Heck, I would be too. And since then, others had come down to the wreck of Titanic to see it with their own eyes. But at that point, because Ballard didn't claim ownership of Titanic, that led to a very hungry appetite for people to come in and take her artifacts. And they did just that. And that's another thing. Bob Ballard actually felt like he was so naive that it would be left alone. But it didn't happen, because Titanic eventually drew others to her grave. And despite the fact that RMS Incorporated took rights and eventually saved what they could from the wreck site and brought the artifacts back home, that's one way of educating the public, but at the same time, it was like taking a bit of history from the last century. It was almost like grave robbing in a way. But for us, it's a way of understanding the history of what was it like from a different world, from a different time, way before we ever came into existence. And I have to say, it's one of the most awe-inspiring discoveries ever, because who knows what would have happened if Titanic hadn't been found, I can only imagine. I can just only imagine how it would have been if events had played out differently. I mean, it's kind of ironic, actually, because after 1985 and into the year of 1989, Dr. Robert Ballard also became the discoverer of another famous vessel, who ironically was a German battleship, which was Bismarck. It's pretty ironic, actually, because whenever, he made discoveries of two biggest ships of two different nations. He found the Titanic and he found Bismarck. And of course, as we know, compared to Titanic, Bismarck, took over 2 years to be found, and her location at the time was kept secret. And of course, that wasn't easy to find that battleship, because she lay 3 miles down beneath, somewhere in the middle of an underwater mountain range, whereas Titanic was found on a flat, somewhere in the Grand Banks on a flat, calmed place, and like I said, I mean, many people try to find it, but Bob Ballard eventually did it, and he became the man. I can only imagine, how things would have played differently. Hi there, Royal Mashup. I see you down below. It's funny that nobody else is tuning in. For those of you who are here live, you're more than welcome to pop in and come in and join this special anniversary, because this is definitely a very special time to get together and celebrate. You know? It truly is a remarkable discovery. One of the best things that mankind ever did. I mean, how could things go? You know, how would things have turned out if we hadn't done, you know, if Titanic had been discovered, you know, by somebody else? Who knows what would have happened afterwards, you know? It's all those what if things, you know, and I have to say, it really is, you know, a fascinating thing, because after that, new stuff was told about Titanic, and eventually a lot of myths surrounding Titanic had been lifted after that point, you know, and eventually one can only imagine how it would have been for those that didn't die. You know, for those who had perished, I can only imagine what they would have thought if everyone had lived. I'm pretty sure that they would have had a very similar feeling like the survivors did. I mean, I've seen great footages of Titanic from the first time it was discovered to when it was like in 1986. They were very chilling, I will admit, as a kid growing up. It was kind of haunting, but it brought a reality of just how bad it really was. And I have to say, even nowadays, as a grown man, it's very moving. And it gives me chills every time. You know, to see the sad ruins of a once proud ocean liner sitting there in two pieces, you know, as if it's like a ghost ship of its time. Sorry if I'm sounding a bit like I'm saying some lines from an infamous movie, but it's the way of how I describe it, you know. You can't fathom, you can't prepare yourself. You know, you cannot get very, very emotional when you come face to face with the Titanic and not be affected by it. I mean, even now I'm feeling the effects, even though I'm not there. It really is very, very gripping, to say the least. I mean, I can only imagine what others would be thinking right now. It's just one of those things. Everybody's more than welcome. The link's here in the chat, guys, if you want to join, okay? It's a special occasion, and I advise you to join. I mean, so if I haven't got much to say, I'm just saying it really is, you know, emotional, man. Hey there, where we last up. Oh, a nice. Oh, you've activated your icon. Nice.
Thanks. So, wow, today's the anniversary of it, huh?
It is. Today marks 36 years since the great discovery was found, and that's why I've got my Titanic cap on. I've got my suit on for this occasion, just to mark it, to make it a little bit special.
I'm surprised it actually popped up in one of my new videos. Totally unexpected.
Well, I decided to check it out, see what the hell was up.
Yeah, so finally, part two of my Ghost Train movie has been released. I still got 3 and 4 to do. 5, I'm still thinking about it, I'm not sure. I just need to see how it goes.
Well, just see how it does turn out then, okay? usually when I usually come on originally, you know, where we last up, a lot of people would pop up about all this, but it doesn't seem as that many. I don't get it. Usually there is.
Maybe because people have school or work to do. Like I'm off today.
Well, it's already 7 already on my end, and maybe I don't know if it is or not, but back in the day when I used to go back to school, we would have like the first day off, and 1st of September, and then you go back on the 2nd or 3rd, depending on what it was. But it was mostly September 2nd most of the time, from what I remembered.
For me, my school would start, I believe, the day after Labor Day.
So I'm trying to get a big, massive, big ball of brand new color ZX. It's brand new.
Ooh.
It's a brand new kind of thing, yeah. And it's zero sugar. It has an extreme taste, but it's zero sugar. I advise you to check it out. It's really good. Very light, I will say.
Send me a name to Discord. I'll check it out.
Actually, you'll check it out eventually. Hey, if you've got any of your mates that you've got around, or whatever who have got the day off, if they've got StreamYard or whatever the heck, give them a link and send them here because they might be missing out on something.
Here's the thing, though. Go ahead, my friend.
I'm just saying, some of them can if they wanted to. They don't have to, but if they'd like to. Just for a bit of fun.
Yeah, I know. I mean, honestly, I barely do live streams anymore because, well, I might do one soon. I'm not sure because let's just say there were some people who were acting so stupid. Let's just say.
So you don't have to worry. I've dealt with immature people like this, and I just have great tolerance of ignoring them. Do what I do. Like focus talking with me or somewhere else, and then just ignore the commentary or whatnot because I can get the comeuppance. And don't worry about you know who because don't worry about him. It's obvious the guys who recorded what he did. I'll just say his name once and I'll just let him sink to the bottom. Michael the Transit. Just ignore that little scumbag. He's going to get what's coming because the guys who exposed him, whoever it was who did that video and uploaded on his channel, I don't know who it was, but the guys who were talking were like, I think there was one female and the other one was talking.
Yeah, it was a female.
I thought it was one of those computer voices or whatever it was. But whoever these people were, if only I could get in contact with those guys and maybe, because I've had my fair share and you too. I mean, we should have contacted those dudes because they had Discord as well, I think, regardless of who they are, because I need to really, explain my case about him to them too. And I'm hoping the video thing was sent to the authorities and hopefully they've tracked him down. Who knows what may have happened?
Actually, go on.
I'm just hoping that Michael the Transit finally gets put down. And I'm not saying this for the worst. I'm just thinking that hopefully he gets what's coming and a big lesson because we adults, I think even teenagers and some underage would never sink to that depth. But unfortunately, we've got to this generation point in this year where we're seeing a lot of underage users who do a lot of bad stuff. Hang on, Mom, I'm coming down. I'm doing a special. Okay, hang on. I'll be right there in a second, lads. Sanyo Gunads. It says, no, don't worry. History won't repeat itself next year when the new replica of Titanic comes out. Hopefully. Well, who knows? One of the benefits of global warming, there's been no icebergs lately in the area, so it could be a bit more safer.
Honestly, in any case, I'm looking for... Go on, Glenn. I'm sorry.
Hey, Robert Ballard, could you take over for a bit while I just got to do something quickly? I'll be right back. So can you take over for a bit?
Absolutely.
Just cut my camera first. I'm still here, but I've just cut my camera out.
Sure.
You said you were looking forward to wherever it was, weren't you? So go ahead.
So I was going to say, actually, it's possible the FBI might be watching, might be tracking him down. But anyways,
Well, you did say you said like you were like you did say whatever it was.
yeah, I mean, as long as the video is still up there, it's possible the FBI might be like tracking because they have computer access. They have like access to who knows.
Unless it was sent
Okay.
to them, who knows? Unless it was sent. Yeah, anyways, yeah, continue on, mate. You said you were excited about the new upcoming Titanic.
Oh yeah.
Next year.
I'm definitely looking forward for the new Titanic to come out in 2022 or 24. I don't know the year. Hold on, let me check.
2022, actually.
Oh, so next year. Nice. Okay. Just click on this, click on that. Whoops. All right.
So, I was thinking.
Not helping ad.
I heard some background noises there for a second.
No, that was the ad. That was the ad.
Oh, I thought that was somebody else had popped in.
Yeah. There we go.
Don't worry, I'm just getting rid of my recycling, but you can't see me do something about doing something quick. Don't worry, lads, I'm still here, guys. Just hold on, I'll be right back with you.
Don't worry, I'll take over. Okay, guys. My part 2 of the Ghost Train movie just on the camera. Just recently finally came. It's 2001 way. It's called Angus the Ghost Train. You can find it on my channel. Just type it in, it'll be right there. Like we'll show you some clips.
Aaron, get the others. You guys are not going to believe this. Are you serious? You saw the ghost of Angus?
I guess it's only a matter of time before you did.
What exactly happened when you saw Angus? After I dropped off my kids, he appeared right in front of me and then vanished. That sweet Jean Keller was unbelievable.
I was talking to Kara, and she did mention that she saw something and then it disappeared.
Yeah, she did mention that she saw some things and disappeared. Plus, she was taking a train back from Victorsville early in the morning. So by the time she came back, she seemed very shaky.
Oh, Alan's here. What's up, Alan? And Roger's here.
She saw Angus.
So, guys, Glenn had to do something right now, but he'll be right back. So, I'm basically in charge right now until he gets back.
Good thing I haven't run into the ghost train yet. Hey, Jared, if you do get captured by Angus, then your girlfriend will have to find a new boyfriend.
Okay, relationship, I'm back, dude.
There you are.
I don't think that's a good thing to be showing that, mate, because that's not what we're here for.
Well, sorry about that.
That's okay. At least you're showing what you've been up to. That's all right, but just keep in mind when the next time.
Okay.
Oh, come on. Just trying to get a new bin out. Just won't come in. Come on. Yeah, much better.
What happened?
I'm just trying to get a new bin tape thing out. That's all I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
Because I've just done a bit of recycling, that's all. All my paper bags won't come out. So sorry if that's a little bit of distraction for you guys, but hey, it's bin day today, every Wednesday.
By the way, Aaron and Roger should be Aaron and
I
Roger
know.
have a chat.
I know, I can see him. They're about to come in eventually. I'm just about to get ready. Just gotta put my gear back in and we'll be set. Won't be on for too. I'm not going to try and make this too long as possible, but it will be a bit of a nice little stream, and I'll have to have my dinner later on because I'm coming back a bit on my. Okay, almost ready.
What?
Okay, I'm almost ready. Just trying to make gear back in.
Okay. No worries.
Yeah, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, if this is a little bit bizarre. This happens quite a lot. Okay, and I think we're ready to try again. At least somebody's well, at least I'm already been called Captain Glenn. Well, I've already been said you can always call me Captain Kane or whatever the case may be, depending on what you want to call me. That's right, Napa Studio. That's what we're here today.
Hey, Roger.
Hey, Roger.
Hey guys.
And
Hey,
what's
Hello.
up?
Ahoy, Captain. Wow.
I know.
36th anniversary of the discovery of the Great Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
You're sure looking mighty spiffy for this grand occasion.
Basically, that icon of me is what I was like. That was me from 2012. Remember, Aaron?
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was me. That was me in my prime.
You're still in your prime.
Well, I'm sort of over it in a way, but that was back then when everything was different. When I was a bit over myself, and I will admit I was a little immature back then, but I didn't have a good mindset. But I did absolutely enjoy being in this. It was the first time I got the idea of what my OC was going to look like.
Yeah, and man,
That was also taken on the day before I flew to America.
Oh yeah. I remember you were telling me something about that.
They were testing it. They were testing my costume on and see how it looked, and it was a pass. It just about fit me, It just about fit me. I had a bit of a bigger arm. I had bigger arms back then. I had a bit of weight in there too before I dropped quite a lot of pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a bit of yeah.
Now, where were you when they discovered the Titanic 36 years ago?
Well, basically, I said the story many times. It was 1995 or 96, 11 years or so after the discovery. But
Wow.
Titanic officially started with me way back in 1996.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because you were a huge Titanic geek back then. Still are.
But back then, I was just an ordinary intrigueness, like everybody was as a kid growing up. Ordinary fascination. It was like every sinking and every disaster I thought was quite cool of, but I looked at it as a normal thing. And then eventually, as I've gotten older, I kind of had a better understanding. By 2009, I had a better understanding, and that's when I became emotionally attached to it. And then since then, I've become as I am now. Like I said, I've been a Titanic buff for so long, but you can say I'm more enthusiastic and much deeper in.
Do you still have the hat?
Yes, I do, but that's my OC hat. I actually have two hats, actually. I'm wearing one right now that I got from Belfast.
Oh, Belfast Island, where the Titanic was built.
And her three sisters, too, and every other ship that came before it, too.
I can't believe this. I mean, the Titanic's been there, but on the been. Oh, hey, well, I actually got. Wow.
Hey, chap. Yeah. Yes,
Whoa.
Titanic's been laying on the ocean floor for well over 110 years.
Yeah, because as I recall, when you saw my when you saw my Titanic tribute video,
that was back then. I know. I'll admit I watched it, but I will admit it wasn't the no disrespect. It was good, but
not good enough. Oh, hey, Alfred's ghost is here.
Yes, someone. It's not Alfred. It's basically the GCR rail guy fan 5011.
Oh.
I know who it is.
Looking good, by the way, Glenn.
Yes, this is how I am now in 2021. 11, basically, nearly 10 years on since I first had this thing,
Oh.
I wish I could have worn it at other cosplay events. I've worn it a few times on parties, but like on this day or on the launching date or either on the anniversary, I tend to have this. It's just my way of marking of respect. I mean, basically, I've only got my ordinary T-shirt on. I'm just wearing my jacket and my cap because I couldn't be bothered to put the rest of my suit on.
Yeah, because that would be a big waste of time.
Because if it was elsewhere, I probably would have. I'm going to admit to this now, actually. I'm sort of a little bit of you can thank anime for this, because I just recently discovered I think I might be something that I didn't really think I was.
Oh?
Maybe a grown man. I may be a grown man, but I think back in the day when I was wearing this in 2012, when I was just in my early 20s, or well, just starting to, I guess. But I kind of became this sort of.
Wow. Well, with
hang on. I'll just put it in the chat box, and I'll let you know. And I'll just
you just commentate.
No, I'll just put it in the actual oh, here it is. I think I found it.
What?
Here it is. I think this is what I've become more. I mean, I may be a Titanic buff, but this is kind of what I am nowadays as a Titanic buff, but a bit more extreme. And there's nothing wrong with this.
Can you put it in the private chat so I can see?
Everybody needs to know about this.
Okay. Let's see here.
Yeah. There we go.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to admit to that, mate. I admit to this. I've been a bit of a Titanic Ryeko Joe, which is like a history buff. That means in Japanese.
Yeah.
For a long time. I know.
Titanic. What? Rikajo?
Rikajo. It's Rikajo.
Okay.
It means history buff in Japanese.
Well,
some people tend to replicate and dress up like the history makers. I saw there's this anime I know that captures this. Apparently, there's this one girl who dresses up like because she's dressed up like a German. Apparently, who served in the Nazi army, and she kind of resembles Ernest Ronald, or whatever his name, General Ronald, or whatever his name was, who served in the he was nicknamed the Desert Fox, I think he was. Yes, he was. Urban Ronald, that's his name.
The funny thing, well, Glenn, you actually look like you're a part of the crew and everything with that mustache.
Well, Aaron, that's what I'm supposed to represent.
Sorry about that.
You gotta understand, mate. I'm actually replicating what my OC would have looked like now. Well, actually, what he did look like.
Captain Smith will be proud of you.
Hey, that's why I dressed up mostly for him. Mostly, that's what I'm more attached to, in terms of history as well. That's why I tend to try and look like a younger version of him. well, I've had a shave recently, but as you may remember in my if you remember in my fanfic, well,
Yeah.
Mousy doesn't realise this, but Captain Smith adapted him, making him his adopted son in the family. So that makes him his adopted son, and later on he becomes Kane Smith, as we later know. And as you know in the fanfics, for those of you who don't know, my OC is actually the fictional co-captain of the Titanic. Now, if you think, you might be thinking, would he have died with him? Absolutely, but
Hey,
Smith
Glenn.
Smith dies and allows him to go, somewhat sacrificing his life for him.
Oh,
And that's what I wrote in my
see.
fanfic. That's what I wrote in my fanfic when the two had that emotional last moment together. You can see this, Aaron, if you go in my DeviantArt, check it out and have a good read. It's a bit of emotional embracement. It's like an anime,
yeah.
much more deeper. Yes, Mashup?
Did you make a video years ago on your YouTube channel about Titanic move? Yeah, a video.
I did indeed, back in the glory times. I've made a couple of them, and I actually have. And to this very day, the one I did based on the 100th anniversary, which is still being watched this day, and still light, and one of the best I pulled off, despite this and that. Let's just say the guys who did the film Titanic, We Miss You, they actually contacted me. Right, they contacted me on my channel and wrote a wonderful comment during the COVID crisis. They actually have said that they're going to release their album to spread more awareness that we all need to be together in this difficult time. And they were so blessed and thankful to know that I was one of those still using it to this day. And they knew I did make it well. And I was very, very, to be honest with you, I was very emotionally moved, and I did shed a couple of tears from that, because I never thought they would actually say something wonderful. And because they finally got an album and they're going to release it as well, and Titanic is going to be in there. One of the main ones. I can't remember what album it's called, but if you might check the comments or whatever, you might find it there. And it was a wonderful thing to do. It's the same thing, and I hate to bring this up, but it was the same thing I did, when I did with Mr. Ortez's movie, when we did Thomas and Titanic, aka Haunted Titanic. We did the music video where we both, he did one side, and I just basically to save time and setback, I just adapted my music video and with the clips afterwards and did some clever tricks and just adapted it that way and put my image of myself in every single shot or whatever back in the day to promote what would have been a very good story. But the music video is still, I will admit, one of the best I ever did. And to co-along with, but that's something completely different.
Along with the Leo, Benny, and Johnny adventure.
Oh yeah, that I'm hoping Benny's got that up still, because that was one of the best.
Yeah, we actually worked together on that one.
Because that was the first time. I know.
Because I was Bruce Ismay and you were Captain Smith.
Well, and the first time. I know. I've still got my video test when I did the audition lines when I got the role, and it's still up there. That was back when I could speak deep. That was back then when I could speak really deep back then.
Yeah, you were like, well, Mr. Ismay, if you look like you want headlines, then you might as well just get them.
And you actually remembered every last line I spoke. Wow. I guess I'm not the only one. I'm guessing I'm not the only one who can remember that far back and mimic lines back then. Jeez. I know.
An elephant never forgets.
Like I said, I mean, I always watch every single movie, depending on which movie I want to watch every year.
But one of the songs that I did was the Titanic, We Miss You. I mean,
that was the same one. That was the exact same thing I used. I'm referring to.
No. I mean when I sang the "My Heart Will Go On."
Oh Lord!
I couldn't barely contain myself when I hit that chorus.
Well, no one can. Nobody can, especially if you've seen the final especially when you sing the final hymn or when the band plays until they finally died. But still, like I said, you can never be prepared for anything surrounding with Titanic because you know when they're coming, you know when and where certain key events are going to fold. But like I said, but today is like a very special occasion of the finding of the vessel. And as we know, when Titanic was found 36 years ago, a lot of people were expecting it to be there, sitting upright, intact, as beautiful as it was when it sank, like a shadow of its former self. But, this was in the minds, I think, in a lot of people in the public, because, finding the Titanic was probably the ultimate achievement for everybody, and there was always this fascination of, and everything else. So, yeah, people actually dreamed a lot, and it remained alive until September 1st on this very day, 36 years ago, when the unthinkable did happen.
When they discovered her?
Yeah, they got that bit correct. At least that bit came true, but we all thought Titanic would still be in one piece. The deeper the vessel, the deeper the vessel, the less time they have intact they could have to deteriorate.
Because remember, because if you remember correctly, on the day that it sank, the middle part of it kind of broke in two, and there was like two different pieces.
Well, the bow sank down afterwards, but the stern cracked back, and then eventually, people have had their own ways of how it happened, but we'll never actually know the actual detail of it. But I think we've come as close as we can to actually know how it really unfolded, although we'll never get the actual detail, but still. But I spoke about this many times, especially during this year's, or was it last year's celebration. I was very skeptical about this.
I think you were talking about that like on the tribute video or one of the tributes.
Yeah, I was. I did. But this is more like, this year is supposed to be a marking of a special discovery of this event. Like I said,
Rail Rash looks like he's wanting to say something. Go ahead, Rail.
You want to say something, mate?
Go ahead. Well, Roger's been very quiet.
He's I've been
letting you guys talk.
So, So tell me, Roger. What did you think when it comes to Titanic? What do you think it comes to your mind? It was like on this special occasion, Roger.
Oh boy. Well, I think about it occasionally.
You think about it occasionally?
Yeah, I kind of have a lot of stuff on my mind, but it occasionally comes to me, especially when I sometimes watch the movie on TV.
Well, I always watch the movie when I can, and I try not to, get over in the moments, but I tend to a lot.
I always tend to stop the movie before that one song comes on.
Well,
you'll say something, Roger?
I was gonna say something, but now I blanked out.
Well, for me, this anniversary of that about discovery, think about anniversary, always brings you back memories.
Yeah, very tragic.
Well, the tragedy of Titanic will always play a part of it's like I said before, when they found the wreck of Titanic, it was first fascinating and amazing because history was made on that day. But like I said in the beginning of my stream, for those of you who weren't there, you have to rewatch the whole thing from my intro speech. When Robert Ballard said in one of the comments, he said in an interview, champagne bottles were out of nowhere. There was this agony of defeat, and then finally cheering was going on. Pandemonium breaking loose. Celebrationing, and that sort of overreactioning, which is natural when something happens or whatever when you're in the moment. And I think I would have done the same thing too if I'd been there at the time. And of course, he said, one of his crew members looked at the clock and they made the innocent comment. They said, like, gee, the Titanic sinks in 20 minutes. And the silence that fell was just unbelievable. And it was devastating. There was this agony, this joy of like happiness, and then this amazing change of cold, sadness, and tragedy descended upon everyone on the vessel when they found it. And they actually held a memorial on the fantail, as a mark of respect. It was almost as if, as I like to say, it was almost as if, I don't want to sound like I'm being too supernatural and silly about this, but it was almost like the spirit of the Titanic had finally shown and had really sent it home. Like this is not like something to be partying, to be celebrating. You're standing on my grave, and I deserve respect because they found the vessel after so long, and pain reality hurts sometimes. And of course, after that, Bob Ballard was so personally affected, he wouldn't talk about the Titanic for 4 months. He just wouldn't talk about it. He just wanted to hit it as if he never found it. Because, as I said before, it was like you were there. You could see and smell the death of those drowning in the water when the ship went down and the life went bombing in the water. That's what Ballard could and everybody else could see when they were there. They felt it. It was really that effective.
Yeah, besides, what I couldn't figure out was why didn't they just why didn't they have more lifeboats on board that thing instead of how many lifeboats were there, Glenn?
Titanic actually carried only about roughly if I did my mathematics, she basically had 16 lifeboats, but in fact she had 20 of them because she had 4 collapsible. But still not enough. There was only room for half on board.
Yeah.
The thing is, just remember, I said about this in the last video about this, because Titanic was following an outdated Board of Trade regulations made 20 years earlier. And of course, Titanic was a brand new vessel, as was her sisters, because nobody, think they'd have more boats to carry for everybody. And of course, lifeboats were seen as necessarily evil, and they spoiled the look of your ship. So
was Titanic the oldest one, or
no? Olympic was the oldest. She was the prototype of the class, and Titanic and Britannic would follow their place behind.
Oh, so Titanic was the middle sister.
That's right. She was the mid sister of a bunch of them. Everything wasn't a big deal.
But yet they named her the Pride of the White Star Line.
Well, because she was an actual version. This was the second of the class coming into service. Olympic had all the publicity, and she was the prototype of the class, the first one to come in. But this was the second of the class coming in, and despite there was a lot of pictures surrounding it, there were actually none of them coming out when Titanic was lagging publicity.
Oh.
So she had a neglect entry. So she had a very lagged neglect entry coming into service.
Yeah.
Olympic had all the cream of publicity, and Titanic was just ready to enter service. It wasn't a big deal. Yeah. It wasn't a big deal back then. Until over time, the ship has been immortalized in the bottom of the ocean, and now ever since then, she's dominated.
But what was the name of the youngest sister? I keep forgetting her. Yeah, we don't know much about her.
I think we do, actually. Ever since her own 100th anniversary, she's kind of stepped out of Titanic's shadow.
Hey, Glenn, quick question.
Yes, Rory Lashuk.
What got you interested into Titanic? What got you interested into Titanic?
I think it's this may sound a bit unusual. Let me tell you, and it wasn't to do with the movie, because I didn't know they did it at the time. It wasn't the 96 movie either, although that was the first one. I remember seeing of the actual thing, but I thought it was just a fancy thing at the time, okay? Because the name itself didn't seem real. I kid you not. But that's the thing. It was the name of it. And that stuck with me forever. Just the name. And I hate to be poetic or whatever it was, but I kind of fell in love with the name. I still am.
Oh, okay.
Unsinkable.
Yeah. Nah, not with that. No, it's just I fell in love with the story, the way what the witnesses were telling, and everything about it. But I didn't feel any tragedy until, like I said, until 2009, when it really did hit home, and I don't know what happened. The emotional forces just cracked upon me, and even to this day, I just tend to break down in tears. I don't know how. And since then, it's very strange. I understood the disaster, but it didn't really hit me home until then.
Well, remember when I made that journal post about my trip up to Gatlinburg?
I think I've heard of that. Yeah.
I mean,
hey, Rebecca.
On the first day that I was out there, because I couldn't.
Oh, hey, Pussy Rebecca, what's up?
Because they didn't have my room ready and everything. So I had to. So that very first day, I went to the Titanic Museum.
Oh yeah, I've been to 2 of them. First one in London, my first experience. Second time was in Kansas. That's when I wore the suit, and everybody thought I was a part of the expedition. They thought I was the captain. No joke, guys. This is really true. They thought I was part of the expedition. And they had no idea I was British either, because I was in character. I was in character. I was talking like I was a young Captain Smith.
The funny thing is that when I went, they gave me this kind of strange looking device and everything. When you get to these certain panels, you press a button on them and you listen to interesting facts and everything. And they had one particular part of the whole museum that felt like you were like on deck.
Well, that's the particular idea. You feel like you're actually there.
Yeah, and they actually had a replica of the iceberg right outside.
Same one.
Oh,
wait.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I saw that on a video once.
Yeah.
Have you ever got Ray Lasham? Do you think you'll ever intend to perhaps ever go in there?
Oh yeah, especially hopefully, maybe next year I like to see the real Titanic on the move at the seas. But I'm definitely interested. I'm definitely down to go to a Titanic museum. And Glenn, I was seeing the pictures too.
Yeah, I was just going to say which one's the closest, because there's a couple of them. You need to go to the one that's closest to you.
I'll look it up.
The closest one to me was in Gatlinburg.
There's one in Mississippi, I think. I think it is. Or is there another one in Man? I don't know where it was. There was a couple of them. And
anyway, I'm gonna. Don't worry, I got some pictures of it, like of the museum and everything. But I'll post them on my DeviantArt page later. Glenn, make sure you remind me, okay, buddy?
I am.
When the
oh yeah, there's one guy that I know who's really good. I mean, there's so many great cosplayers of Titanic's captain. You know, there's so many great ones. But like I said, I mean, the other one I can remember mostly, I think, was the one who's been down the wreck, but he dresses up like Captain Smith. His name's Leo. His name's Leo Lighty, and he's brilliant. He even sounds like him. He looks like him. No, I kid you not. I can play it right now. It's a special event.
Wow.
Oh, hang on. There she is. Oh, hang on a second. There she is again. There he is again. I think it's this one here at the Titanic artifact. When you see him at the artifact expedition, sometimes he appears there, sometimes he doesn't.
Wow. Man,
And even one guy said, you know, Karen Smith said it looked like he came back in time, almost like I'm not, I kid you not, he looks like him.
Hey, remember when I did the Line Wing Adventures in Titanic?
Yes, I know. I get very nostalgic. I don't know why, but I just miss those guys, man. I wish they were still going to this day still. I just miss the hell out of those guys. I really do.
No, I'm not talking about Leo, Benny, and Johnny. I'm talking about my series.
I know, and yours too. And yours too, man. I know, and yours too.
And I'm still going strong.
I can tell. Here we go, lads. There it is. This, if you guys are watching, guys, check this out.
Okay.
Here it is.
Ooh.
I know.
Everybody mute themselves.
Here it comes. I'm just trying to fleck out so you don't have to hear too much. It's quite loud.
How do you do? I'm Captain.
There he is.
No doubt you've already heard I've recently announced my retirement. Maiden voyage of Titanic will be my final crossing.
That's him. That's Eric Led I was telling you about. Looks just like him.
Rest in peace, Captain.
Oh, White Star, age 27. It's because of him I did the voice acting. Have I most admired? Hang on a second, I need to replay it back because his mic's a little muted out. I'm going to have to find a better. Whoops. Oh, here we go. I think this is the one. Here we go.
Mr. Andrews has built a fine vessel.
There he is.
It is not the fastest, but it is indeed the most.
That's him. He's really good as him.
The man who
amazing.
Is really an actor, low light. He portrays the captain at Titanic exhibits.
Hello, Branson people. How are you? Do we have a captain on board?
Yes, sir, there is.
Like us?
I am going to christen the ship, the Titanic, for a smooth sail in the city of Branson, Missouri.
That's the one you need to go to.
Oh, it's official.
Oh wait, that one's in Gatlinburg. I've been to that one.
Field Captain E.J. Smith went down with his ship right here.
I believe to be on the actual location where it went down could be a very emotional experience for me.
Now the actor gets ready for the ultimate research for his role, to go down in a tiny sub to where the captain went, on an adventure of a lifetime to bring up pieces of the Titanic.
I could not conceive of any violent disaster happening to this vessel. Modern technology is not beyond that. That speech that I just gave you, word for word, was the last speech the captain ever gave. And I stayed focused on picking up artifacts and not getting emotionally involved for about an hour. And then you see a shoe, and you see a hat, and you realize what took place. Everything's scattered all over, and 1,500 lives went into eternity that quickly. And I opened the door, and the men went over, and they hugged their wives.
A little emotional, are we, Ken?
Hey, there, money's worth.
He's just playing now.
Wow.
He has got a sense of humor.
The most came up to me while I was on the bridge there in the exhibit. The mother said, "You want to shake the captain's hand?" And he nodded his head. He came up and shook my hand. She said, "Can you find his picture over in the wall?" We walked over, and all the officers pointed, looked at me, looked back. He looked at me and he said, "Did you die?" I said, "Yes."
Wow.
He wrapped his two little thin arms around my legs. And he said, "I love you.
Oh.
And I'm going to miss you."
Wow.
And he said, "I'll see you at the cemetery."
Oh.
People that were had great plans, and when they got to New York, everything's going to be wonderful. Movie. We're not going to last forever. Make sure you tell your loved one on a day-to-day basis how much you love them. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Wow.
That's like, I'm gonna say he's one of the best. He's the best portrayal we had since Barry Hill in '97. Nice. Whoops, that's
Sorry.
when you find him. There you go. Anyways, like I said, that was one of the best things I've ever done. And wow, 9 years ago, my voice invitation is still there.
You're the tears.
I know. If any of you guys haven't seen this, this is how I actually got the role as Captain Smith 9 years ago. And yes.
Okay, gentlemen. To those who are wondering, which is the closest Titanic exhibit near me, it's 1 second. Titanic Museum. The closest one is.
We're going to have another half an hour or so before we wrap this special event up, like I said. It's been quite an honor. It's been quite an honor for this, I have to say. Despite the lack of people been tuning up, but for those of you who might want to catch up later, I might do a part 2, maybe tomorrow, or maybe I could do it maybe during the weekend, because who knows? I'll save this as a part 1, and then I'll just do a part 2 afterwards if anybody else wants to, because I did this the last time in the last anniversary, so I'll do it maybe. Yeah, so consider this, ladies and gentlemen, as a part 1, guys. For those of you who might be a bit confused when I do this again in the weekend, just let you guys know. I might leave a link down in the description so you can catch up what happened last time.
Yeah. Well, you can always count on me to be here for these.
Oh, you will be. Don't you worry. Hey there, Greg Memory. Nice to see you again. Nice to see you.
Hey, Glenn. Hey, Aaron.
Hello.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the closest Titanic Museum near me is 22 minutes.
Oh.
Wow, 22 minutes. That won't take too long. You could get there via coach or get a taxi or get a quick train there or whatever the case may be. But if it's 22 minutes, you could probably walk it there and back if it's not that far.
I mean, I'll try to go one day if I can.
My best suggestion, try and do it during April for next year's anniversary.
Go ahead.
Now I get it.
Yeah, try it next year. Yeah, do it anytime, even after the anniversary. Try and do it sometime during April, no matter what day it is, even if it's on the night of the anniversary.
When I went there, it was on Memorial Day weekend.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mind you, I went up to the one in Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
That's the one I was trying to say. In Tennessee, there was one there, and there's one in Massachusetts. I think there's one here not far from where, like you said, from Roger is. I mean, from where Laship is.
I'm not gonna ask what the hell are you drinking.
Don't worry, it's a new form of Coca-Cola. It's brand new.
Oh.
Wait, really?
How does it taste?
It's really good. It's extremely tasteful. It's ZX Cola from Vive, and it's 0 sugar. Best when served cold.
Wow.
I don't have that kind of stuff in my place.
It's brand new, so I advise you to get from on overseas and get one. It's really good. They just come out. They're really good, and they reduce a lot of. It's very reducible, so it won't make you as hyperactive, but it's really good and tasty. Very nice and cold.
Yeah, but it didn't arrive in my place anyway.
It's yet to. We've just got it first, so it will soon come to your shores eventually if it does work.
Yeah, though in my place we do have a little bit of inconveniences.
That's fine.
With a bunch of my friends.
In any cases, guys, you're ready to hear about my audition. This is what we got for the occasion. And just keep in mind, my microphone was different back then. I was in my prime as a voice actor. And here it is, guys.
Let's hear it.
With some music from Michael MJ, or whoever it was, from Kieran McLeod at the time when I was getting used to his music. Here we go. This is just a speech, little voice test I did. It wasn't official, but it worked. Anyways.
Back in 2012.
Yeah, back when Titanic was about to dominate that year. And I kid you not, it was Titanic year all the way. I'm not going to lie. Anyways.
Now Glenn, you can proceed.
How do you do? I'm Captain E.J. Smith. The maiden voyage of Titanic will be my final crossing as ship's captain. Sea trials for Titanic took place April the 2nd down at Belfast. We lit 20 boilers and achieved a speed of up to 18 knots. She stirred up quite a wake down the line. The ship handles beautifully. It is designed for performance and above all, safety. I cannot foresee any disaster happening to this vessel. Modern shipbuilding has gone beyond that. That speech I just gave you, word for word, was the last speech the captain ever gave.
And that was my testing.
Wow.
Wow.
Bravo. Amazing.
Bravo.
And did you not know? You didn't see it, guys, but I was actually synchronizing, if you didn't notice.
No, I think I did. I did hear your early voice before. I think along back last year. I think I don't know, but you sound totally different from today. Let me tell you.
Well, you gotta understand. I actually did a very special effect on my voice to sound a bit deep about that. I just spoke like I am now. Like this is how I am now. This is how I sounded like before I put a little extra editing effect and make it a little deeper. I just spoke like this. I'm just like, how do you do? I'm Captain E.J. Smith. Or in this case, hello there, fellas. It is I, KaneFan701, or you can call me Captain Kane Fan. And that's how I spoke. That's just how I was ordinarily, and then I just put the effects in to get the deep tones you just heard in the voice testing.
Besides.
Wow.
You wouldn't notice.
Besides, you may find it hard to believe, Alfred, but I was the voice of Bruce Ismay. Think of the possibilities. Think of the possibilities. I kind of forgot what that line was.
Oh, God. Oh, God. I know. I'm getting nostalgia when I think about this. I was like this. I was like, well, not to worry. With the ship performing well and with the coal bunker boarding in Ballroom 5, I don't think it won't be too necessary to tell the passengers anything. Or whatever the heck it was I was saying. I know. I can't remember every line. There were so many lines.
Sorry. Oh.
I have to get going, but Kane Fan, thank you so much for letting me in. I'll chat you later, buddy. Guys, I'll see you
Don't worry,
later.
Rolasha. Catch you later on.
Right.
Head off to the lifeboat before you go down.
There he goes.
Well,
and there he goes.
We're going away.
We're going away. We're going away. I wish I was going away with you.
Now, get on the plane.
Oh, God, don't do a James Season 1 reference on Titanic. That is not going to work.
I'm sorry. What does James have to do with it?
I'm sorry about
He's just
that.
mimicking some famous lines. It's all. It's natural. Sometimes we break the fourth wall a little bit.
Yeah, unlike the reboot, it breaks the fourth wall every second.
No.
Well,
Don't
sorry.
Don't go there. Don't go there.
Sorry if I.
Okay.
All right, my bad. Sorry.
If you go there,
okay, where's the revolver going? Okay, where's that thing that Mr. Murdoch had when he shot himself?
If you do go there with that Alfred, you're going to be removed.
Sorry, but don't look at me. I hate the reboot. I hate that crap too.
Don't we all?
Well, man.
But if you go on the Discord thing, the British in the Telegraph or wherever it was, as they call it back then, they've caught up with it, and a lot of us are saying it should be darker and less childish, so whatever the heck it's called. So they're finally getting our voices heard, and that's all we're going to say. End of that. Don't talk about any time played on Titanic stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's not your fault, mate. It's not your fault. It just slipped out.
I'm terribly sorry.
You don't have to worry. Besides, I'm a forgivable person.
One question. On that one Titanic film, who was the one with Tim Curry in it? Who played Captain Smith in that? I'm kind of curious.
Oh yeah, he was a very good one. He was a pretty good actor. He was. I didn't know that was actually the captain because I don't. To be honest, I don't remember too much because I didn't watch the beginning or I only got to the part where it was sinking down. I didn't see the captain. I didn't even know who was who at the time until I did my research in '97 when the movie came out. It's
The
hang on.
the very first Titanic film I saw was the black and white Night to Remember.
That was the second film for me.
Was it made? Was it made by? Was it made like back in 1960s?
No. No, this was in the fifth. This was in 1958. It was the last black and white film of Titanic ever made, and eventually,
oh yeah,
the first colored Titanic movie was in 1979, and that was SOS Titanic, a TV film, which had Queen Mary playing the vessel for the first time, and that had actor Harry Andrews who played Captain Smith. Harry Andrews played him in 1979. Not the best, but he was pretty decent for the time.
I found out the guy who
I'm just about to tell you. It was George C. Scott. He played him in 1996.
Yep.
And he looked pretty decent too.
Yeah, and but I didn't like how they added Tim Curry into that one.
That was because they were looking for a fictional bad villain. Just remember back then, Tim Curry was really at his prime back in the 90s as a villain. He was really good.
Yeah, before he got on into that. Yeah.
Or whatever it was. It worked. But anyways, I mean, Barry Hill in 97, who played Smith, was really good in that. Very, very good, despite his lines were pretty limited at the time. But hey, he still looked like him today at one point when he donned the costume when they did the whole thing in China. The other guys who have played him recently, the one that was really good. There
was actually
hang on. There was Christian Radasco who played him in 2011 in Curiosity, and the other one who wasn't too bad actually was David Calder. He played him in the 2012 mini 4 episodes, and he did a pretty good job. He did. And the first turns out that you're not going to believe it, but the first man who played Captain Smith in a Titanic film, ironically, that was the first film called Titanic with the title name, was during World War II in 1943, and he was being played by a German, Otto Werkschnech.
Otto what?
Otto Werkschnech, whatever his name was. He's German.
Bro, and
that explains why his second name is pretty odd.
But I have to say though, he did a very impressive role. I will admit, he was impressive.
In the 1997 version, the year afterwards, the year after George C. Scott, the one who played Captain Smith was Bernard Hill.
That's what I mean. He was very accurate for his role at the time. I'm not going to lie. I will say though, you're gonna be. It's quite funny actually because Captain Smith in my fanfic.
Yeah.
He's like a hybrid of the actors that I liked. But he's very close to George C. Scott and Barry Hill.
Yeah, but I really don't. But on the night that Titanic went down and everything, did you notice that Bruce Ismay stole away like a coward?
Remember that's how they portrayed him as. Unfortunately, we may know there's more than we might think, but still, we had to have a villain. And I don't want to sound like I'm still, no disrespect, but I still think he did play a role. Like, just remember back in those days, men were expected to die, and women and children were supposed to get out of there. The thing was that men weren't allowed in.
Yeah.
And yet Ismay was expected to die like a hero.
Did Thomas Andrews make it off the ship, or?
Look, if you've watched so many, you will see that he doesn't make it. He died in the first class smoking room. He would go with it.
Well, I know First Officer Murdoch kind of shot himself.
Yeah,
Well, not really.
why?
Actually, not really. Actually, there were a lot of reports saying that he didn't actually shoot himself. It's very likely that he died when the second funnel collapsed. And I'm kind of agreeing.
Then why in the 1997 Titanic movie we saw that he shot himself? He committed suicide.
Well, basically, that was there was a lot of reports of gunfiring going off. Although I will admit that is true, they did actually shoot and fire a lot to restore order. But for an officer killing himself, no. Even the families and the relatives of Mr. Murdoch complained and sent a lot of letters that never actually happened. So I rewrote my fanfic, and in the end, instead. But here's the thing: this is going to be true with you guys. What I'm about to tell you. In my fanfic, when I first wrote it, I did the whole scene where he does that in '97, right? But instead, Smith accepted Murdoch's looking with regret, and this was a bit extreme. But I actually pretended like, what would Captain Smith do if he saw it do that? And I thought to myself, I'll just let the captain shoot him as a punishment, and that's what I did the first time around. There's the ultimate act of punishment. But instead, I felt like, wow, that was a bit extreme. But I thought to myself, what would he have done had he saw that? That's what I thought, and it probably would have made sense, really.
Hey, Glenn, remember when? Remember when Thundora, our good friend Thundora, did Flight Taller? Remember him?
Can't remember too well. But anyways, sorry, Aaron. But the second time I redid it, I rewrote the thing again where Smith where instead my OC at the time in the writing I was doing shot Mr. Murdoch in revenge for, in terms of like punishment himself because all order had gone. It's what I would have done if I was there at the time. But then I thought to myself, it just didn't work out. And then eventually I had to go for a third time. And it's what you can read now in the fanfic. Murdoch and myself, my OC, worked together around, and then eventually all chaos goes off, and it's likely Murdoch got killed by the first funnel when it crashed down. So, and of course, that's how it's going to be with me. And I think that's what really did happen.
Anyway,
interesting.
It's very likely Captain Smith too may have died in there. That's why the funnel crashed under the starboard wing may have killed him instantly. But I go about this every time. It's likely in the '97 movie he was in there and he died instantly when he got drowned in the wheelhouse when he went down. I'm so convinced that's what happened because there was no chance he would have survived. He wouldn't have survived in that water anyway.
Anyway, back to what I was saying. Remember when 1992 Balta was casted as Flight Taller?
Yeah, I kind of remember. Yeah.
He was the only one he was one of the senior members that survived the whole ordeal.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Besides, that has to be the only ship that had the shortest voyage.
Hang on a second. It turns out, from what I can read about Smith's fate, according to the wiki, it says when one of the guys asked about, it said about uncollapsible B survivors, they thought they actually saw him swimming in the water. And at one point he said that one of the soakers said he believed that Smith was there. He said that he was presented as a steward, and he apparently swam back onto the foundering ship. And he said Williams' accounts differs a little bit, claiming that Smith had actually got back up and he asked what had become of Mr. Murdoch, and he pushed away. And after Mr. Murdoch was dead, apparently he was dead anyway at that point. Smith kind of just pushed himself away from the upturned lifeboat and threw his lifeboat to him. Then he just died out of sight and never resurfaced. That's kind of
sucks.
It kind of sucks. I think that kind of does suck. I don't think it's tragic, but I have a theory in a way if he did get out of the bridge just after it did, or unless he may have been, he may have jumped off at the last moment or whatever the case may have been. But if he did and may have done that and eventually turned away and sank in the darkness, I'm pretty sure that was probably an honorable way to go out because it's obvious I don't think he ever would want to go that way or face what could have happened in the inquiries. But at the same time, I don't blame Smith for dying. He went down like a good captain should. But it does make it a bit tragic if he had done. Who knows what would have happened? I mean, heck, if I'd been sent back in time, I would have altered history. I would have saved his life.
Yeah, if only Back to the Future was real.
Whoa! Don't go there with that. Do not go there with that one.
We do.
It's all right. That's the saying. Sometimes we could. I mean, we've seen the whole things like what if scenarios. It would be, to be honest. I'm going to be very strictly honest. If they ever do it like another version of Titanic going back in time, or there's so much what ifs nowadays. It's such a big thing on the internet nowadays, and they've become very popular. Look at Star Wars, for instance. There's a lot of what ifs, and it's very popular. And I think, what would have happened if we did it in Titanic's scenario? If we did an alternated story of James Cameron's film, or if there was an alternative storyline, like if we had the power, say if we in the future had the right to alter history and what could have happened, and what would the happy ending be, and what life career would Titanic had, and what would have become of everybody else, It's like changing the timeline a little bit, it'd be so cool. And that would be another fascinating thing in today's time. You can get away with it. There's nothing wrong with altering history. I mean, in today's time, it's one of the best things that we can do. It's all part of the fun. There's always it's not always going to be that way, but if they ever did, that would be quite intriguing, because there's so many what ifs now. If we could use our timelines and what we could envision. And that's the magic thing about using our imagination and writing creativity at its best potential. Even if it's based on tragic events, or if we can alter timeline a little bit.
In the word, I know I'm maybe going slightly off topic here, but in words of Gene Wilder,
excuse me, what?
Oh, sorry, the guy who did Willy Wonka. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah.
Pure imagination.
Yes, I get it.
Yes, Titanic.
Sorry about that.
I know. Like I said, in Titanic's case, it's just one of those things that never ends. I said this before many times, even in the old documentary. Once the Titanic gets into your life, she never leaves.
Yeah.
It's true,
And also don't forget if you saw my journal about the trip up to Gatlinburg, there was actually one boy that made a complete model of the Titanic based out of Legos.
I am aware of that. I see that on Facebook. It's one of those fascinating stories.
Excuse me, are we talking, because I did see a video about this dude making a gigantic, sorry, it's just that this Titanic Lego thing that this guy made is so freaking huge,
No, amazing.
It's amazing. It's I think we should compare it with a bunch of let's say, how long is this ship? This tiny Lego ship? I don't know.
What's his name? Boggio or whatever his name was.
I don't know the guy who made it, but I gotta tell you, the gigantic Titanic Lego model is so big. I don't know how to describe it, because it's so freaking huge.
Yeah, I bet it's massive. It's very.
You know what I feel like playing right now?
What?
Nostalgia Critics review of the animated Titanic movies.
No!
Don't go there.
No.
No, we don't play that. No.
I know, I wouldn't do that either. I just wanted to see your reactions. Look at your faces.
No.
Yeah.
If that happened, I'd be ringing the ship's bell 3 times off the wall. You can't see it; it's just off my camera. I'd be ringing it. I would. I'd be ringing it 3 times as a no.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I know how you feel.
That was not cool of me, was it?
No, it wasn't. You just had to go there, didn't you?
Time out. Yes, thank you. Time out.
More like, yeah. I was going to be saying time out, but I was going to say bottom out or whatever the case may be, or something like else. Rudder out, or whatever the case. I have no idea. Really have no
guys.
idea.
Hey, Aaron.
Yeah.
Can you go to Google Translator and put the word up and put the translation into Romanian?
Oh God, we don't want to do translating thing or whatever, man. We don't want to go there now.
Sorry, but I must decline.
Oh.
Because Captain's on around. Anyways, guys, like I said, I mean, this event's been really, really cool. I mean, I have to say, like I said, it has been 36 years since Bob Ballard found Titanic, and it's really, really amazing of how it's still remembered to this day. I mean, I think there is one here where it actually happened when they actually discovered it. Hang on, where is it? I do actually have the official, like the actual official itself, when the discovery happened, like when we first got the very first imageries of Titanic when it did go, when they found it.
Though.
There it is. Holy crap! The video I found was posted 11 years ago. Jesus, I didn't notice that.
Wait, really? So if it was made 11 years ago, it was made in 2011?
No, actually, no. It was uploaded on February 15th, 2010. Holy Christ! I didn't even know the date back then. At that point,
wow.
It's been that long. These are the actual news reports. When actually, this was on the morning or whatever it was, when they actually did find the wreck. These are the actual footage that did come out when the news broke. When we finally got to see what was very early at the time. No joke. This is the actual footage that they did have when the discovery was made. No joke. I kid you. And here it is. You ready for this, lads?
Go ahead.
Since this is part of our celebration.
Yes.
Here we are. The first imageries of what Titanic looked like when they actually found it.
Wow.
What is this supposed to be the deck? Is this supposed
That's the bow. That's the bow.
The bow.
Just
the bow.
Remember this.
The front of the ship.
Just remember, this is the beginning of what happened. When we were getting the early footage back then. This is actual footage of what they did, and this is the news report. Ready for this?
Go ahead. Everybody mute.
Just start the thing.
Here you go.
Tell this photograph for 73 years what happened when the Titanic hit bottom had been a mystery. Here, her bow as it looks today. The railing around it, along which millionaires strolled on its maiden voyage, is still intact. But below, there is a giant bulge where the double steel hull, considered impregnable by its designers, buckled and broke when the ship plunged into the total darkness of a deep ocean canyon. From his research ship, 2.5 miles above the liner, the expedition's director, Robert Ballard, described the images historians have waited nearly 3/4 of a century to see.
The bow sort of took all the beatings, and all the damage that was done to the bow was in the under part of the bow, where the iceberg hit it. The length that we're looking at is a good 30 to 50 feet.
The remote-controlled robot sub, with its cameras aboard, then moved from the side of the Titanic up to directly above the ship, and more pictures.
You're looking straight down. You're seeing the very tip of the Titanic's bow, and a little mast that's coming up towards you is the mast where they put a little flag.
The camera then pointed to the bridge towards the captain's window, where the fateful order to abandon ship was given. And the boilers, each the size of a 2-car garage, by the side of the wreck. Ballard is now sure what happened when the Titanic hit bottom.
No doubt about the boilers roared through the bow. When the ship went vertical and the boilers broke loose, took out everything in their way. We're still searching for the stern. We can't find it. It does appear to be disconnected.
The search for the rest of the Titanic can continue only until week's end, when the research ship leaves for home port, ahead of the North Atlantic winter storms. Terry Drinkwater, CBS News, St. John's, Newfoundland.
The Titanic, grand, powerful, confident, and soon to be 2.5 miles under the sea.
Just to let you know, these images are actually from Titanic's twin sister, the Olympic, but at the time, no one could tell the difference.
Yeah.
It has floated in the world's imagination for 73 years. The Titanic was the first liner and the last liner anyone ever called unsinkable.
They just could not believe that this magnificent ship, which was the most magnificent ship in this day, could actually sink completely.
Everyone on board wasn't so sure. There were exceptions.
You see, my mother refused to go to bed in that ship because she had this premonition.
Is she still alive?
She said that
They're all
the
gone
declare
now.
vessel unsinkable was flying in the face of God.
Yeah, basically all the survivors all died. The last one perished in 2009, so then none of us aren't there except for the relatives. Anyways, continue watching.
If the Titanic were around today, it would be doing package tours to the Caribbean. The world that went down that starry night featured a jet set that sailed the seas, gentlemen who dressed for dinner and offered women and children their places in the lifeboats. Imagine. There have been other disasters. The sinking of the Titanic was the granddaddy of them all. It was a preview of coming attractions.
In a way, it was a premonition of the First World War. It was a sign that an era was coming to an end, and it made people aware of the consequences of excessive confidence.
The Titanic taught a civilization that it's a dangerous world we live in, that there are icebergs lurking in the night. It brought many fears to the surface. But what about the Titanic itself?
Well, the 1,500 souls down there, I would agree we should be left where she is. Look at it, dream about it, but don't touch.
The Titanic was the ship that sailed blithely off into the night and was never seen again until this week. Bob Simon, CBS News.
The scientists on board the research ship which found her said today, "It is so nice to see it, like finding an old friend." The discovery has also raised a whole range of questions. And we begin with
Too true.
1,000 miles east
North
of New York,
Atlantic.
aboard the U.S. Navy research ship, are now looking at large sections of the mass grave called the RMS Titanic. The steel-plated bow picked out by strobe lights in the icy water more than 2 miles down. The bow railings at which passengers stood trying to decide not whether to face death, but how.
It appears we have a guest.
The window looking straight out from the bridge where Captain Smith's officers finally saw the iceberg too late.
My cat.
Hang on, who else? Yeah, we need to show the rest of this afterwards, but who is joining us?
Yep, LPS, it's a friend of mine.
Wow, welcome on board. Apparently, he's in for a special treat. Oh, you brought your kitty as well, Roger.
I have a cat too. He's just as
Always-
fat as the fat
always
controller.
attacking the camera.
He's just as... I also had a cat, and he's just as fat as the fat controller's belly.
Who's eligible? Oh, hang on. Wow.
Okay, can we continue with this, please?
Yeah, hang on. I'm going to put these guys in there. I mean, we're just about to peak in this celebration. Okay,
there are 2 more spots anyway.
We're almost there now. We're almost there.
We're
Okay.
almost there.
In about 20 minutes, in about 20 to 50 minutes, I have to end this. Okay, because I'm going to have to have my dinner after this one. Anyways.
Hey,
Hello
LPS.
there.
Hi.
Welcome on board. Welcome on board this special celebration of 36 years since the Titanic was discovered. We're watching the actual footages from that actual event when it actually happened, the morning afterwards.
Yeah, thanks.
Wow.
Welcome on board. It's an honor to meet some new
Thank
friends
you.
and new fans. This is a blessing, particularly on this day.
Yeah, particularly.
And I'll add a cover on. Hey, GNR, what's your name over here? If you ever want to come back again, you're more than welcome to. And if you have any other friends that you have, you're more than welcome to pop in. And because I'm actually starting to gain more further trust, and I think you're going to be one of the best mates I've ever actually been around with. I'll be very honourable So feel free to let anybody else join the party if they can. Because, guys, just like I let you know, because on the weekend, we're going to do a part 2 of this for an extra celebration. So all of you guys can come right back in if you need to.
Though I do have, are you got, aside from these kind of streams, like, you know, Titanic and all that, aren't you gonna do, like, others, like, random stuff, like...
I have done random, yeah. I've done random stuff before, but when it comes to special events, I tend to be when I need to. And then, you know, it depends really what's going on in the real world. You never know.
All right.
Yeah, so I take time myself.
Now, before we continue...
Welcome on board.
Ahoy, Elijah.
Ahoy, shipmates. Oh, God.
Hello.
Horrible and salty.
Napa Studios is here, but unfortunately we have no more room. We can only fit up to 6 people in here.
Crap.
Sorry, Nutbird.
So, yeah, before we continue with this stuff, I want to tell a little quick thing.
Go ahead.
Someone's gone on the fact of
I just discovered that if you spell the word up, the English word up, in Romanian, guess what's the result?
What?
Sus.
What?
What?
What is it? What is it?
If you spell the word up in Romanian, you actually get the word sus. I know this is off topic, but I couldn't resist.
Okay, I'm going to rewind back just a little bit now because
okay.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, don't do that silly effect.
All right. Now continue with the actual stuff.
I'll come back to. I'll go halfway through. Here we go. Cut back here. We'll start from here again. We're halfway through the celebration video. Here we go.
The research ship which found her said today, "It is so nice to see you, like finding an old friend." The discovery has also raised a whole range of questions, and we begin with Bill Blakeman.
1,000 miles east of New York, scientists aboard the U.S. Navy research ship are now looking at large sections of the mass grave called the RMS Titanic. The steel-plated bow picked out by strobe lights in the icy water more than 2 miles down. The bow railings at which passengers stood trying to decide not whether to face death, but how. A ghostly window looking straight out from the bridge where Captain Smith's officers finally saw the iceberg, too late. The bow section shows definite signs of damage, from the iceberg, from hitting bottom, from the crushing pressures at this depth. Final mysteries of the Titanic are just beginning to come into view. Next, the scientists hope to produce pictures of the stern section. Latest radio reports from the ship describe cases of wine bottles and totally undamaged dinner plates. Scientists at the viewing screens in the research ship's control room are lost in the details of a silent ship which sank with 1,500 people 73 years ago. Bill Blakemore, ABC News, New York.
This is Charles Glass. When the Titanic sailed from England on its maiden voyage in 1912, its owners, the...
Okay, just to let you know, that isn't Titanic. That's actually the Lusitania. Her rival.
White Star Line said she couldn't be sunk. The discovery of the ship 13,000 feet below the ocean's surface raises a new question. Can the ship which couldn't be sunk remain the ship which can't be raised to the surface?
For 73 years, no one has given much thought to who owns the wreck of the Titanic. But Tom Fenton in London tonight reports all that has changed.
It was assumed the Titanic would never be seen again when the great ship went down on its maiden voyage in 1912. But the possibility of raising it is now being considered.
Anything is possible if you throw enough money at it.
Before that happens, they'll have to settle the question of who owns the Titanic now. Today, the Commercial Union Insurance Company of London dug out its files for 1912. It paid the original owners, White Star Lines, $5 million for the loss, but it doesn't own the wreck and doesn't know who does.
So it could well be that it doesn't belong to anybody.
The British shipping company Cunard says it didn't take over ownership of the wreck after buying out White Star Lines years ago, so it isn't theirs either. At Lloyd's of London, one of the member firms discovered today it had been part of the original syndicate that insured the supposedly unsinkable liner. But the de Rougemont firm's $50,000 loss was long ago written off and forgotten. I don't think that the androgens own the ray, but I doubt it's worth very much anyhow, bottom of the ocean.
As long as the Titanic remains on the bottom, none of the hard-headed businessmen in the City of London is showing much interest. But the minute there's a real prospect of salvage, there's likely to be a flood of claims.
Tom Fenton, CBS News, London.
And that's
Wow. I think that's a good
Wow.
I think that's a good place for us to wrap this up.
We're almost wrapping it up now. We've just got a few more moments to go, and we'll be there. Like I said,
Wow, I'm learning too much of the Titanic today.
well,
Yeah.
that's you all.
That's
It's big
so
brain.
awesome.
It's big brain time.
And then
Careful.
I'm a she and her.
Careful, Alfred. Don't blow up your smoke box.
It's all right. Let's not go into train stuff. He said, "What did you say? Something LPS MRP."
I said I'm like a she and a her.
Well, Titanic is classified as a female.
Amazing.
Ooh. Extraordinary.
Well, it is. Well, every vessel was. Unless you want to count the German battleship Bismarck, who's actually a male. But in my case, it's a female because as our lane, baby.
This is my OC.
Wow.
Oh wow!
My
You
OC.
actually have a crane OC. Oh, nice.
Yeah, my OC is depicted on the gravestone.
Hey, Alfred.
What?
You know who I just became friends with recently?
Who?
You know that Andrew the Diesel?
Andrew.
The blue
Andrew.
diesel. The friendly
No, not here. There's another Diesel.
He's friends. He showed up once on one of Victor Tanzik's videos. That one.
Are we talking about Andrew Liago?
Yeah, him.
Oh, that one. I thought it was somebody else.
I'm friends with him now.
Oh.
Well, I hate to admit it, but I'm going to try and tie some loose ends with him if I can help it.
Okay, go ahead.
But it's like I know there's real bad blood between me and him, but I want to really cut it down and just. I know. We don't want to get our hopes up, man. We don't want to lose off. Don't want to lose hope on that. But in any cases, who else is going to be joining in? Napa Steers is here with us, but yeah, everybody else is here. Yeah. Rope Jackson was here for a second. He's just blanked out for a second. So yeah, guys, we're almost close to wrapping this one up, to be honest with you. Like I said, there's so many great things about it, but like I said, it's really been a fantastic and intriguing stream. But like I said, we will have a part 2. We might come at the weekend, so it might be this Saturday, just to let you guys know.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
And you guys are more than welcome to pop in. Again, hey, Alfred's guys, I'll just call you that for now. If you have anybody else who'd like to come in, bring them in and we'll see what happens. But I can only fit 6 people in here. That's the limited I can only have.
Well, a friend of mine, let's just say that a friend of mine who has around the same number of subs as I do at the moment, actually can update his own stream. Yeah, now he can fit 10 people. I
get it.
Yeah, but like I said, he's around 70 subs around my subs. Though it will take many months to catch up all of the stuff I lost.
Well, like I said, guys, you're more than welcome to pop back in. And you said you're learning a lot quickly about Titanic than ever. But like I said, you're going to have to watch all the classic documentaries that we grew up with. Because what we knew back then is what we had. Nowadays, since 2012 and onwards, we're basically getting more and more new things finally coming in. Like I said, Titanic. Like I said, Titanic is just is just basically just a never-ending story. It will never end. There's something about the shipwreck itself that refuses to fade.
Don't worry, Alfred. I'll educate you on the next live stream.
Yeah, don't worry what he said.
Yeah, don't worry. But like I said, there is something about it. But you don't have to worry because in a strange, bizarre twist, Titanic is actually getting resurrected. There's one already in China, already being built back on track, which is going to be a lovely memorial tribute, a hotel basically to the original, and it'll look just like the original with a few features, and it's going to look amazing. It's a good way to honor the vessel. I just wish it would have been. I just wish they could have done it basically in Belfast in the dry dock where it was built. Then we can actually imagine that we were actually on the Titanic in a way. You know what I'm saying? They could have. I know it's a way to memorial the vessel and the big dry docks there. To give you an example of just how big it was, of an 882-foot ocean liner at the time, which is nearly 900 feet long. But like I said, is that, you know, if they could actually have built a replica, they could have done it basically in Belfast in the dry dock, and we could have instantly, you know, and make it like
Glenn.
Hang on, I know.
Wow.
Hold on. But that's what I think should have happened originally, instead of being built on the other side of the world. But the good news is, though, there's going to be another one. There'll be 2 replicas, hopefully. One actually will be a functional one next year. Basically, it's going to be the resurrection of Titanic in a new body form. Even though it's not the original, as far as I'm concerned, the soul of the vessel itself will be reawakened for a second chance of life.
Wow. True words never spoken.
As Victor Tanzik would say.
That's a story.
Story for another day.
Wow.
Or in this case, or how about this, to put it in Titanic's case, or as Captain Smith would say, but that is a maiden voyage for another time. I know.
Yeah.
Victor Tanzik would have approved.
Yeah.
I think you would. Speaking of which, and just to let you guys know, just to cap this off now, because we're just about to hit the time limitation. Always will be, yes, without a doubt, despite what other vessels are like. Hang on.
Yeah, Glenn.
Yes?
About replicas and stuff, you know what happened to the real life Stepney, don't you? Like what happened? What happened?
Wait. No, hang on. I thought the Stepney that we had, that we've been seeing, was not the actual replica. I thought that was the actual real original himself.
Yeah, about that there were because according to this other YouTuber who's a huge fan of Stepney called, I think, Terry55 Stepney, I think. He actually said that that there were like rumors that they're gonna make a complete replica of Stepney, though I don't think that would ever likely happen.
Don't get me started on rumors in steam trains, in wrestling, or on Titanic or whatever. I'm not a rumor person. I don't believe rumors for a second. Not in this day. Well, at least not in this modern culture that we're in now. So let's not go there.
Sorry.
Anyways, guys, to kind of fast forward to what we're going to see hopefully next year, that we've been waiting for nearly 10 years for now. This is what will become of Titanic when she finally comes back to life. It's not the original body, but the soul of it will come out. That's just me, okay? Here she is.
Wow.
Poggers.
Whoa.
Pogs.
Tugs, okay. Oh, it is Tugs.
Not really. Not essentially Tugs.
Wow.
The Tugs iceberg or something.
Yep.
Okay.
Something that Tugs have adapted.
Yep, that's basically what we're going to see hopefully next year if it does happen.
But that's a story for another day.
Year.
I should have seen that coming. Yeah, but that's what hopefully.
Listen, Glenn, who worries about a few spills?
Don't go there.
We do here. Let's not go into Thomas the Tank Engine style. And yes, I actually am talking as Captain Smith there.
Okay, let's go ahead
and because you just broke the fourth wall for the last time, brace your ears. And it's time for this point now. I've got to ring the bell. As my way.
What bell? Excuse me. What bell are you talking about again?
You have a bell.
I actually have Titanic's bell, a full replica of it.
Wait, what?
You cannot see it, but I'm actually going to try and turn it around now for you guys to see.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see if we can do it.
Oh, of course. I'm going to ring this over a few times now. Hang on. If you guys can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Holy! Well, holy shit!
Oh my goodness.
Hang on.
He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it.
Wait, what?
Oh.
Never
Much
mind.
better. Now you can see her.
Holy!
It's right there.
In
Right
three,
Freak.
2, 1.
Happy New
And here
Year!
we go.
No,
For you
it's
guys,
not New
on this
Year.
day 4th. On this day 4th, we must honor our respect for the RMS Titanic and the man who found her, Dr. Robert Ballard. And this is further dedicated to the 15,000 souls, 100 souls who perished and those who survived it. But like I said, here it is. So prepare yourself, guys, as we must have a minute's silence as I ring the bell 10 times. Oh, hang on. Come on, you.
Rest in peace, Titanic.
Yeah, you will not be missed.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, and for all of you watching, that was our 10 bell salute. And to mark 36 years, the discovery of the RMS Titanic. And for that, this is Kane Fan 701, aka Captain Kane Fan for today's event. But do not worry, we will continue in part 2 in a few days' time. So if any of you guys tune in for this next one, I'll leave a link in the description box below, in the next stream so they can capture what we missed out on this one. So they can, so if anybody hasn't seen it, they will hit the link in here and eventually, they can catch up with what we missed out on. But tonight, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank you, Roger, for turning up for this event. I want to thank you, Aaron, for turning up as well. It's been a pleasure to meet and greet with you at LSP and IP as well, and Thomas Fan as well. Thank you for coming on board. I want to thank Alfred's Ghost as well. And a pleasure having you on. And for you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in for this occasion. It has been a blessing.
Yeah.
And thank Island Studios for giving us the ultimate. That's brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that was a big celebration.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you, it has been a blessing. Thank you so much for being on. This is KaneFan 701, aka the captain for part 1 of this celebration. Hope to see you in part 2. If for those of you who haven't seen, there will be a link in the description box so you guys can catch up. It has been a blessing. Thank you very much. Bon voyage until we meet again.
Wow. Amazing.
And for that, bon voyage, ladies and gentlemen.